I'm delighted to join in on behalf of the PDST economics team. As Keane mentioned, YEOTY is a program we're very proud to be a part of. Students critically engaging with the world around them, being curious, asking questions, bringing their knowledge and skills to bear on issues of global importance. And these are really invaluable experiences, and they only happen as a result of the encouragement and inspiration that you bring into your classrooms every day. A key feature of the YEOTY experience is students working with data. And I'd like to speak a little bit about how we as teachers can nurture and support that process. I'll begin just by highlighting a few useful websites for teaching, learning and assessment. And there we go. SchoolNet, first of all, has a wide range of resources across all subjects at junior and senior cycle. And there's a dedicated page for economics that contains Cpd material, YEOTY resources, and plenty more besides. One recent piece that may be relevant is the PDST webinar based on the research study process for Leaving Certificate Economics. That showcases strategies and resources that support effective student research. And a lot of it may be applicable to students and teachers considering entering YEOTY this year. The PDST Digital Technologies page and the Blended Learning website, both contain information and guidance on a variety of digital technologies and how they can be used to support effective teaching, learning and assessment in our classrooms. So where to begin with searching and selecting sources of data and information? Firstly, some just general considerations to bear in mind. And I suppose with the rapid technological change that today's students encounter massive amounts of data from various sources and media, and it's never been more important for them, and indeed us all, to become critical consumers of that information and bring rigor to their research. This recent PDST economics resource titled Working with Online Sources is designed to scaffold students in the rigorous use of data in terms of reliability, validity and bias. It contains prompt questions under those three headings which students could use in groups or individually to critique whatever sources they may be investigating. In terms of reliability, students might check the origin of a piece. For example, this infographic compiled by the CSO is based on reliable data sources, and the CSO provide links for the original sources of the data and figures that they cite. And students could use those for further exploration. These CSO infographics are very popular in classrooms, and CSO also have data visualization tools, and they serve as accessible, student-friendly gateways into working with data. On the economics page on SchoolNet, you will find a curated list of reliable websites, including the CSO, that could be used as a starting point for students in accessing data. Also on SchoolNet, on the Tools for Teachers page, you'll find the National Newspaper Archives. And the Department of Education has funded access to these archives, which include national and regional newspapers, with some going back as far as the 1800s. Articles can be scanned, downloaded, copied and pasted into worksheets, documents, etc. Also on that page, on the Tools for Teachers page on SchoolNet, World Book Online is a reliable licensed online encyclopedia with teams of expert curators and is also available free of charge to students and teachers through SchoolNet. It has many built-in features that especially aim to make reliable information accessible for all our learners. In terms of validity, students might consider how up-to-date the data is or how relevant it is to the issue being investigated. For example, take this recent headline from an article this headline which accompanied an article in a recent national newspaper piece. And while its figures on GDP and the proportion of GDP spent on education in Ireland might be reliable, senior cycle economics students learn that GDP isn't always the most appropriate indicator of Ireland's national wealth, and that maybe drawing comparisons with other countries based on GDP may not be valid. And obviously, finally, it's also important to consider issues of bias in articles, interviews, opinion pieces, etc. And some of our previous speakers have mentioned how they are useful sources. The prompt questions on this resource will also encourage students to do that and be mindful of different viewpoints on an issue. So researching online is a skill in itself that students develop with practice and guidance from their teachers. I'll highlight as well webwise.ie, another PDST website, which has lots of classroom-ready resources and information relating to students navigating the online world in a safe manner. Finally, Professor Rowena Pecanino of Maynooth University and the Irish Economic Association has produced this excellent short guide to research in the YEOTY programme. It's accessible on Schoolnet, and we're very grateful to Rowena for putting it together and making it available to everyone. As students examine their sources of data and use them to inform their thinking, it's worth considering how they can organise their ideas, relate the data to prior knowledge in the economics classroom and make sense of it in general. Jamboard is a digital application, a digital whiteboard that allows users to put a structure on their investigation and move ideas around the whiteboard. It's collaborative as well. ThingLink is another digital application that can help them collect their sources of data and make them accessible in a very highly visual fashion. Moving away from the digital sphere, graphic organizers such as concept maps, fishbone diagrams, these could help students with pen and paper identify core issues of an issue. And this PDST publication on screen has templates of popular graphic organizers and suggestions for classroom use. Having sourced reliable data, students now need to analyze and evaluate it, which will allow them to draw their own informed conclusions on their question or investigation. So if we take an example, this graph from the CSO shows the number of new cars sold in Ireland from 2013 to 2020, broken down by fuel type, diesel, petrol, hybrid, electric. The PDST resource, beg your pardon, this PDST resource working with data contains a series of prompt questions under the headings of identification, interpretation, application and analysis, and arguments and judgments. And these prompts are designed to provide a framework for students to critically analyze and evaluate their data by considering what the data tells us, what trends are visible, can we identify factors that explain these trends, are economic concepts and theories, are they evident or they help explain factors? Or are there other important issues that the data doesn't tell us? For example, with this graph of the new car sales by fuel type, should we also consider what might be happening in the second-hand car market and how students can investigate that data? That's the very essence of authentic research, in that while it might begin with one question, it opens up many others. And the rich and meaningful learning experience provided by YEOTY will benefit our students not only in their study of economics, but sets a solid foundation for lifelong learning. And before I finish, I'd like to take the opportunity to briefly remind you of some of the Cpd supports that PDST provides in the area of economics. After Christmas, there'll be full-day seminars, Introduction to Economics Day 2, which are designed for new teachers or those returning to the subject. Collaboratives are ongoing at the moment, and they provide and will take place after Christmas as well. And they provide a forum for economics teachers to connect with each other and discuss areas of professional practice. All our webinars to this date are available to view through Schoolnet. The PDST website will keep you informed of upcoming CPD events, and Schoolnet, which I've mentioned before, houses a huge number of resources that could be useful for economics teachers and will also allow teachers to upload resources and share with each other. Thanks very much.